Welcome to Learn to Become Radio. I'm April Perry, and I'm here with my daughter Grace today.
Hi.
Grace loves podcasting. Actually, this is one of her first formal full podcasts.
Yes.
And she's like, Mom, I don't know who's going to be listening to this. So we're just going to have a great time and have a conversation because our goal is to help you and your students to not only just prepare for the new school year by having a clean room, but also just being able to have a better understanding about how we can actually go tackle a bedroom or a space to get it ready for a new month, a new year, a new life, and get moving forward. Okay. So we have 3 do's and 3 don'ts that we're going to share, but I'll give a little background. Does that sound good right now? All right. So Grace and I are going to go school shopping tonight. And the way that we do it is different than how I used to do it. I used to take all of you guys at the same time, and then you would be
running around.
The little kids would be like underneath the clothing, and I would be in a great mood, right?
Yes.
I think you had one story when I was at the store with you, and what happened? Like I went and sat down somewhere.
The color of the clothing made you dizzy, so you had to go sit down in the back room with no colors.
And so the kids are out there trying on clothes, and I'm in the back room, like hyperventilating. Not really. I don't love shopping. So what we figured out is we take one child at a time. We have a little date. So we're going out tonight for like 5 hours. But before we go, I actually require that each child have their room clean and ready, and that they've gone through their clothes, their supplies, shoes, everything, so that they have a list of exactly what they need. Yeah. So you've got that pretty much ready?
Yep.
All right, okay. So we're going to talk about how she got there. The other thing just to think about as you are taking your children shopping, or if you have friends who are doing this, one thing that's really worked well for us is I don't give the same budget to Grace, who's a 17-year-old girl, as I give to Spencer, who's an 11-year-old boy. Because Spencer can find shirts for, I don't know, $6 or something like that on sale. And Grace is like, Mom, clothes are more expensive for girls and things like that. So what we do is we have each child create a list of what they need. And then I give a budget based on what I think is a reasonable amount of money to spend for each of those. And then if they want to spend more on one thing, they could spend less on something else, or they can supplement with their own money or things like that. Yeah. So typically works. And then Grace, now that she can drive and things like that, I'll give you the budget. And you can sometimes even just go order your own stuff online or go buy it yourself, as long as she knows it's working within the budget, which I keep in Evernote. Okay, so kind of a lot of information there at the beginning. Grace is so excited to start talking on this podcast. Let's go ahead and dive into getting the room clean, because I'm imagining that there are a lot of students out there getting ready to start the school year. I mean, maybe let's just talk for a minute about why it's important to start fresh with a clean room. Because if you have a super messy room and you walk in and you're just digging through piles to find clothes or things, like what does that do to you?
So starting school, you get a ton of new papers and a ton of things that you have to have a place for in your room. And if it's already filled with tons of old stuff from the previous years that you haven't cleared out yet, your mind also feels a little bit cluttered as well.
And then sometimes when you wake up in the morning and there's stuff everywhere and you can't find your shoes or your pants. When I was growing up, literally, I would be digging through drawers trying to find things, or I'd find one shoe, but I couldn't find the other one.
Extra stress. You don't
left
need.
School. Yeah. Stress. Left for school feeling kind of stressed. Okay. So we've just put together 3 do's, 3 don'ts. We're just going to kind of go through them quickly because we're hoping that other students who are listening to this would be willing to sit down for 10 minutes and just listen to this podcast and then go implement it and go make some changes. Okay. So do number 1.
So our first do is to set time, what we call microbursts, to go to work. So microbursts are a short period of time. You'll set on either a timer or whatever you have, and you'll just work really, really hard for that period of time, really focused.
Maybe like 10 minutes, something like that?
10, 15 minutes. And so...
Do you set your timer on your phone?
Yeah, I set my timer on my phone. So I usually do like 20 minutes. You can play fun music and just focus on one area and work on it to clear that instead of getting distracted by other things you're looking at.
Okay, I love that. And do you do microbursts sequentially? Like, I'm going to do 2 or 3 microbursts, or do you just do 20 minutes and then like stop?
I usually like 20 minutes with a 10-minute break. And so after 2 hours, you got a lot of work done.
Okay, so a simple timer on a phone or a tablet or something like that, that could be awesome. They also have those Pomodoro timers that are 25 minutes, so maybe that would work too. All right, Do number 2.
Okay, so number 2 is to give yourself a break or reward yourself for what you did. So we usually play with our dog or go hiking or do something as a family.
Or maybe even just switching the activity. So you could go from, I'm cleaning for a while, then I'm going to read my assignment that I need to read for a while. You could switch to something else. Or you could go clean a different area. Like maybe go clean your bathroom instead of your bedroom or something like that.
Way more fun.
It's like, we're going to clean for 20 minutes and then I'm going to go see a movie. Then we clean for 20 minutes. I mean, we don't want it to last all day, right?
Yeah.
But we just want it to feel a little less painful. Because what's the power of a microburst? Why would that be helpful for maybe a child or a student who feels like, oh, my room's a big mess?
Well, you see the timer and you're, okay, I just have 10 more minutes of work and you know there's a break coming. So I think it keeps you more focused.
Okay, love it. Do number 3.
So number 3 is to create designated spots for things in your room. So like my mom was saying, like finding pants or shoes, like, you know, just piles and piles of stuff. If you have, I don't know, one place for something, it makes it easier.
Yeah, you don't want to just throw everything. I used to have just a drawer called miscellaneous. I would just throw everything in it.
Yeah.
But when you were organizing your clothes, for example, your closet's super organized.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain how you put that together? You have all of your shoes up on one area.
Yeah, I just keep shirts together, dresses together. I just keep, everything.
All your shoes together. And then you folded all your pants and put them in your little cubbies that you
Yeah.
have in your room. So now when you're looking for a pair of pants, it's not just somewhere on the floor in your closet or something like that. You have it totally organized, ready. And this also helps when you're trying to put things away. So when you bring up your laundry or when someone gives you something, or once we finish our school shopping tonight,
Yes.
when you come home, you know exactly where those things go. You've got room for them and you don't need to then try to figure out how to put other things away. Because we have in the past, sometimes we come home from school shopping and so we have clothes that fit for the new year, but then you go to your drawers and you're like, oh wait, hang on, I have all this other stuff I need to get rid of first, and that type of thing. It's the same principle in how we do our fridge. Maybe just explain that for a minute. Grace is the one who organizes our refrigerator and cleans it prior to the groceries coming home. So let's say I've ordered groceries online, we're going to go pick them up, and I say, okay, Grace, we're going to have groceries ready by 12. Grace will get all the old stuff out of the fridge, any of the food that needs to be thrown away, anything that's, expired or whatever, which usually is not that much. Just make room, just kind of clean it up. So then we always have a clean spot to put our groceries.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing with your school clothes. Okay, so what else about designated spaces? We talked about clothing, like the shoes and shirts.
School
and pants.
papers is a big one.
Okay, so how do you have spaces set up for your school papers?
So I have my inbox, which is stuff I need to be working on, like either stuff my mom to sign, take to school, and then I have a spot for books and stuff I need to take for the next day. So I'm not just like, oh, where's that notebook? So
all of your
organized.
school textbooks you have on a certain shelf,
Yeah.
place you put it. You're also preparing for the ACT, and so you have a spot for your ACT books. So if it's time for you to do some ACT prep, you're not digging through piles trying to find the books. You know exactly where they are. And Grace also is really artistic, so you'll have some of your art supplies, and then when you're ready to do art, you have all those in one spot as well, right? So it's really fun to walk into your room and see everything has a place, and it makes sense to me. I could go in your room and find something, because there have been a couple times where you send me a text from school, hey mom, I forgot this thing, could you run in and find it?
Yes.
Every once in a while, and you can tell me exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Hey, it's right here, it's on the left, that type of thing. All right, so those are just 3 simple do's. We'll just do a quick review. First was setting time with the microbursts. Second was having some kind of break or reward. And then third, having designated spots for everything. And one other idea that we've talked a lot about in our STEP program is that sometimes the first step could be to just sit down and create a little map. Draw out your room and draw where things would go, and then go create it. So even if you're looking at piles, you could say, hang on, let's just back up. Where would we put this? Where would we put that? And that can make it easier too. Okay, jumping into the don'ts. What's don't number 1?
Don't get overwhelmed.
Okay.
There's a lot of spots in your room you have to clear, and so looking at all of it at once.
Okay, so what do you feel like are the thoughts that might overwhelm a lot of students, maybe including you or other students, where you walk in your room and maybe what are the thoughts that might come into your mind when you see it all?
Well, let's say you take your desk and you're clearing it all out. When you take everything out, you're like, hey, where do I put this? So you're just kind of like, I just have all this stuff.
So the not knowing where it's going to go yet.
Okay. The map would help.
Okay, so creating that little map. So maybe Because when you did your desk, you just did your desk. You weren't doing everything in your room at the same time, right? So you just took everything out of the desk.
Put everything I needed in there.
Yeah. And so you could have just stopped right there and said, like, this is too much stuff. Because there were old school papers. There were some books you didn't need anymore. Yeah. There's just a lot of stuff. So usually what's happening is it's kind of like opening Pandora's box. You're opening a lot of decisions. So you had to make decisions on a lot of that. Like as you were cleaning your room, I mean, it took some time because you weren't just doing a 5-minute clean. You were actually going through, throwing away things, donating things, right? Okay. So don't get overwhelmed. Just know it's going to get better. What's number 2?
All right. Number 2 is to not create miscellaneous piles.
Okay. So miscellaneous piles for you. Have you ever had those? Or is that something more like what I did?
I think it's more what you did.
Okay. Because I used to have just a drawer of just like a junk drawer, miscellaneous stuff. And I would throw a bunch of things in. Or sometimes we'll say, oh, I don't really know what to do with this, so I'll just throw it in this pile.
Yeah.
Or for you in your room, you have a little 9-square set of cubbies. You could just throw things in the drawers that you didn't know what to do with. I know I have one child that I was helping this particular child kind of organize, and there was cubbies and things that just became, oh, I have piles of stuff, and I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just going to throw it in. But what happens when you have a whole bunch of miscellaneous? Does that affect you as far as being able to find things or how to organize things or?
Yeah, you just never know where anything is, so you feel more stressed, I guess.
Yeah. And so this is something I think that adults, we do too. We just kind of, even with digital files, oh, I don't really know what to do with this. I'll just kind of throw it on the desktop or throw it into documents. And when you get in a pattern of just throwing things into, miscellaneous or, oh, I'll get to this someday or, oh, yeah, I need to think about this later.
You can forget about it too.
Yeah. And then you will maybe miss deadlines and this is especially important once school starts, right? Because you want to stay on top of it. All right. Number 3.
So don't keep things that don't have a purpose.
Okay. So do you want to share some examples of things that you've chosen to donate or throw away?
Well, one big thing is the Marie Kondo's sparking joy. Just like asking yourself, does this really make me happy? And then another thing is to ask yourself, have you used this in the last year? And do you think you'll use it in the future year? Yeah.
So what were some things that you put in your donate pile?
So like I've had a lot of water bottles that I've bought over the years, and I was like, hey, I only used 2 of these out of like the 8, so I got rid of it and made way more space for
And
them.
they weren't like expensive
no, they
flask or anything, just like little water bottles or something like that. Okay. So some water bottles. What about like old clothing? You had some clothes.
Anything that doesn't fit or I think I don't wear as much, I can make space for something.
Yeah. Give that to someone who might want it. And then you had a lot of papers from school, right? Because you usually save them until the end of the year. Is that typically what you do?
Just for like AP tests and stuff. You never know if you're going to use that to study. So I keep it till the end of the year, and then first day of summer, I just go through.
Okay.
Make sure.
And then also taking photos of some things that you might want to reference later. Or so Evernote, this is one that's been huge for our whole family, is we take photos of things, put them in Evernote. If there's something that's like, oh, it's a great memory, but you don't need it. Yeah. Or something that, oh, I might need to access this information later, but I don't really want to keep the piece of paper. Evernote's awesome. So all of our kids have Evernote accounts so that you can do that.
And it's easy to have it digital because you can just search for it and it's there instead of having to dig through your other piles. So.
And even if your child doesn't have a smartphone, our children who don't have smartphones, they just take photos and then they put it into their Evernote account, but they just do it through my phone or iPad. So it's simple. Okay, so what would you say to a student who is maybe starting school relatively soon? They've got a busy schedule. They don't have a ton of time. They don't really feel like cleaning their rooms. It doesn't sound exciting. What would be your advice?
I think microbursts are the biggest part, just knowing that you can get things done quickly, but you can also have time to relax.
So it doesn't have to be that painful?
You don't have to have like a 6-hour window. Yeah, you can just do it quick. And then I think, imagine like your cleanest room and just how peaceful you feel. Like after you clean a room on a Saturday, you feel really good and you feel like you can start the school year. Yeah. Be organized.
And so then when you wake up for the first day of school, you're going to feel so excited.
At 6 a.m.
And you're going to make your bed sometimes. And I think generally it's not that our bedrooms have to be totally perfect all the time. I mean, you have a really busy schedule where you're going to sports practices and you're participating in activities and you have a lot of stuff going on. But generally, if you can keep the room organized so you can find things and you just feel better overall, so you don't feel stressed out.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of you who are in our community know that we have a program called STEP, which is Steps to Everyday Productivity. It's a full program where we teach people how to build a command central. We also have a program called STEP for Students, which was actually created by our oldest daughter, Aaliyah. So this is Grace's older sister, who's currently serving a humanitarian mission in Ukraine for the next 16 months. Now, Grace has started taking over the STEP for Students program. We didn't force her to or anything. It was just something that was an option. And she's actually started applying it to her life and has expressed so much interest in helping other students to do the same thing. So I thought maybe you could just share a couple things you've done from the Step for Students program that has helped you so far.
Yeah, so one thing is my inbox. So it's like a little, designated place for papers where if I get something and I don't have time to go through it, I put it in there. And then every few days I'll clear it out. So it's really nice,
Where did you put things prior to having an inbox?
Before
you had an inbox?
I don't know.
Just like on your desk?
Probably on my desk with a Post-it note or something on it.
And then it was kind of stressful.
Yeah.
So having an inbox, which a lot of times most students don't have an inbox. I never had an inbox.
Yeah.
But just that one little thing, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
What's one other thing that you've been
So
doing?
the tickler file, that sounds funny, but it's just file folders with January through December.
Okay.
Just in my room. And if I have to use this paper in October, but I don't want to just leave it somewhere in my room. I put it in the October file, set a reminder on whatever I have calendar, my phone.
Yeah.
And so, it helps me.
So there's lots of just little tips and tricks that can be really helpful. Plus, Aaliyah has put together a whole lot of really simple, quick lessons for kids. Things on how to organize email, how to use Google Drive, how to organize your homework, how to make your planner work for you. She has tips on how she organized her closet. I mean, there's just all these little things that are so fun to learn. A lot of times it's stuff you might have thought about before, but maybe it's a new way to think about it, or maybe it's just inspiration to actually get it done. So if you want to learn more about Step for Students, if you just go to learndobecome.com/S4S, the number 4, S4S, like Step for Students, then you can learn more about it and come join the awesome community and learn to become. Aaliyah also has an opt-in for a free video. It's learndobecome.com/students. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how to make a tickler file, see Aaliyah's video, you can learn more about that there.
Yeah.
Super fun. And thanks, Grace, for joining me in this podcast.
Of course.
Grace is like, I don't love podcasting, but it's a lot of fun. And what's fun is that being able to talk together, work together. I know I care a lot more about clean rooms and organization than maybe you do, or maybe that anyone in the family does. But the goal is not to have it be a stressful thing. It's just to be able to help create a foundation so that you can thrive. Because you feel better when your room is clean, and I'm here to help and support. And when we all work together to keep the home organized and clean and generally in a condition where we can find things, I like to say clean enough to be healthy, messy enough to be happy. So we're not super stressed out, but we also feel like, okay, we feel good. Yeah. We enjoy our home, we enjoy our lives, and there's so much hope and excitement ahead as you get organized. So any final words?
No.
Good luck.
Good luck at school.
All right, we'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.